It does not get any uglier than that. Who in the world saw that coming? I didn't, you didn't, nobody saw that. The Jets should have won this game as the more talented team up front, on defense, on offense, just about any spot on this roster, any position group on this team. The New York Jets were the better football team. However, injuries, I mean, listen, you lose McGovern, you end up switching Schweitzer over to center, and then he gets hurt. You're down two centers. You're playing guys at center who have never played the position before. Just unbelievably, I mean, bad luck, whatever you want to call it. Things did not go well for the Jets at all. And I mean, Zach Wilson, for a lot of that game, he looked like a guy who was playing behind an offensive line that wasn't an NFL offensive line. Let's be honest. They were absolutely terrible. But they managed somehow they managed to pull that off despite having inexperienced centers. The run game was non-existent. Brees Hall couldn't get anything going. And listen, the Jets caught plenty of breaks in this game. Let's be honest with ourselves. The fact that the Giants were down to their third quarterback for most of the game, a guy who they didn't even trust enough to throw the football. They didn't have him throw. What did he throw? I think one pass during regulation. And it was absolutely unbelievable. Zach Wilson, though, you have to give the guy credit. He comes out. He played terrible for most of the day. I'm not going to sit here and defend Zach Wilson. He was bad. However, in crunch time, when it was hurry up, no huddle, we got to throw the ball now. You got to get it out, and we need a completion. He threw two dimes over the middle, got the Jets in field goal range, put them in position to tie the game. They did exactly that. Greg Zuerlein, shout out to him. Shout out to Thomas Morstead, who is just, he might be the MVP on this damn team right now. The guy, all he does is pin the ball inside the 5 every single time out. Zach Locano says Zach clutched up and played well when we needed him to. Absolutely. I got to be honest. I think of those two completions that he made over the middle to set up that field goal, I think the second one was to Lazard. Those were so quick, bang, bang plays. And I was so blown away at the first throw, and I thought they're about to make this happen. And then as soon as that second ball is caught and people are, you're just thinking, get up to the line and get the ball down. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't even know who he completed. I think it was Lazard, but it might have been. I'm not 100% sure. I know the first one was Garrett Wilson. I'm not 100% sure who the second one was. But Zach Wilson absolutely stepped up when the Jets needed him to. And an ugly game. Listen, here's why this win is big, okay? We talk all the time about how you have to win games you're not supposed to win, and you can't afford to lose games you're supposed to win. This is in that category, right? You're playing a team in the Giants, and the Giants stink. Let's not listen. The Giants needed all these injuries on the Jets. If the Jets don't get their injuries, and like I said, I've acknowledged the Giants were down to a bad quarterback, but Tyrod Taylor isn't exactly setting the world on fire. The Jets are the better team, and they should win this game absolutely. Franco says Zach needs to be on a short leash if he can't convert. Listen, Franco, I get it, man. Look, everybody was frustrated by that. Zach made some mistakes that were undeniable. The third down throw to Brees Hall that was just ugly. He bounced it to him. Zach wasn't perfect, but Christ almighty, you had offensive linemen playing key spots who have never played a full NFL game before, and guys playing. And listen, the Giants, as much as I say the Jets are the better team because they are, the Giants, their front, that defensive front is really good. So that was why, listen, once I saw McGovern down, once I saw, first of all, McGovern, saw him go down, you're like, oh man, you're in trouble if you lose Schweitzer or McGovern. And then Schweitzer goes down and you're like, now you're done. Now Zach Wilson is going to be harassed, under duress, pressured all day long. And he was. And the Giants did a good job of getting home. Kayvon Thibodeau, he won his battles all day. He was a pain. Zach Wilson was on the, and Zach made mistakes. But at the same time, let's be honest here, outside of Garrett Wilson, he doesn't have much in terms of targets. And in terms of the offensive line, he was down to third string guys in starting spots, playing center, playing guard. And the Giants were able to penetrate all day. So it was ugly. Thibodeau was looking like LT out there. He was. Listen, Thibodeau looked great. And he's having himself a really good year. He looks like, despite the fact that he's not a likable guy, he's a hell of a football player. and we're kind of seeing that shine through this year. He's finally hitting his potential for the Giants. But for the Jets, Zach Wilson, like I said, they needed some money throws out of him late in the game. We're talking, what was the clock was down in the 120s, 130s, and it looks like the game is over. He zips a completion over the middle, lines up, zips another one down the middle, gets the ball spiked with a second left. The Jets tie it. Then in overtime, the Jets need him to get them in field goal range, and he does it again. He gets them down the field. Jets don't waste any time. Kick the field goal. Greg Zuerlein. Jets win at 13-10, and you won. You stole a win. It was an ugly win. And again, you're playing a Giants team that had no confidence in their quarterback. If you go through listen to this. I mean, go through the numbers in this game. Total yards. Giants outgained the Giants 251 to 194. Passing yards. Total passing yards on the day for the New York Giants, -9. They needed 9 yards to have 0 yards passing. However, they gashed the Jets on the ground, rushing for 203, where Breece Hall only ran for 58. I see, listen, what is this? Frankie saying 12 carries for 17 for Breece Hall. WTF? WTF? Who was playing? Who'd they have? You had Billy Turner, who was a bad tackle, playing out of position. You had guys playing center. I can't remember the guy's name. The guy, the Baylor kid who he played with the Titans. I'm forgetting his name now. It's escaping me. He's playing center. Laken Tomlinson was at center. It was a mess. The Jets were a mess up front. Listen, I've said it before. Max Mitchell, nice kid, nice player, good run blocker, not a great pass blocker. When the other 4 guys can't can't run block, Mitchell's deficiencies are going to stand out that much more. So they had 0 blocking up front on the ground. Didn't have a lot of blocking in the pass game. This is why you struggle to put up points against the Giants. This is why you only put up 13 points on the day. But you only needed 13 because your defense was lights out. And listen, and look, I've already said it a couple times, right? I get it. The Giants were down to Tommy DeVito, who went 2 for 7. But let's not kid ourselves here. It's not like Tyrod Taylor is a guy that you could look at and say, oh, he's going to tear this Jets defense up, right? I mean, and listen, Giants fans, listen. This is a tough day for Giants fans, but you'll always have the incomplete pass to Jalen Hyatt with Sauce Gardner covering him to get you through the season. Because we know Giants Twitter went crazy over that incomplete pass. The incomplete pass heard around the world. And I'm not sure Hyatt played. But listen, Al Wood's Achilles is what Big Green's telling me. That's rough. Listen, normally I wait. If I decide to jump on and do an impromptu post-game immediate reaction, I'll normally wait for Salah's comments. I wasn't doing it tonight. I was out of my mind. I thought that once the Giants got the ball back, I was like, well, this game's over. It's like, I'll wait till the end just in case a miracle happens. But I might, I'm going to be ready to go live and talk about this 10-3 loss or 10-7 loss. And just like that, before, as I'm setting up and I'm thinking, I'll wait. And then the Jets drive down the field in a couple plays, tie the game. Thibodeau destroyed Mitchell, also gave Becton fits. Thibodeau and Lawrence almost wrecked it for the Jets. Absolutely. And the penalties, as Stanley mentions here, I was going to get to those. Quincy Williams, Jermaine Johnson. I mean, listen, you gave the Giants a chance to win this game. Andrew says, F the Giants, ugliest win in history. I'll take it all day, 4-3. Listen, and this is what I was saying earlier. Sometimes, as much as we talk about you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and you can't lose the teams you should beat, winning games that you're supposed to lose. Like, I'm sitting there, and I'm just thinking to myself, the Jets don't deserve to win this game. They deserve a loss here. And within about 3 minutes, I see a beat writer, a couple of regular Jets fans I engage with on Twitter. All same exact thing. Jets deserve to lose. Jets don't deserve this game. Jets shouldn't win this game. They don't deserve to. And that's exactly what I'm thinking. But then there's that part of me thinking, if they could pull this damn thing out, not that I thought they would because they were playing so poorly. It's one of those things where you're within range on the scoreboard, but you're like on the field. It doesn't look like you're going to be able to do it. And I'm watching this game and I'm thinking, this is the type of game you steal. This is like if you're a baseball fan and you think, when you have your ace out there and he doesn't have his best stuff and he finds a way to win, and you think that's why he's our ace. He was bad today, but he found a way to win. And the Jets today, for as bad as they were, they found a way to win. So yeah, what we're seeing here, Al Woods, Achilles, that's bad news. He's like the one true big man they have in the middle of that line. Joe Douglas has some more. Listen, we got to find out on McGovern. We got to find out on Schweitzer how serious these are. It looked like Joe Douglas didn't want to make any trades. He might not have a choice. If these guys are going to be out for any length of time, you can't go to battle. You won this game. You're 4-3 now. You can't go to battle with Billy Turner as one of your guards. Andrew, can't believe the stupid defensive penalties. None of us could. None of us could. They tried to hand the game to them. White Hackett, wait, Stanley, I was going to get to that too. We're on the same wavelength, Stanley. Stanley says, why do you wait till OT before throwing the ball down the field? Zach has a good arm, can get the ball down the field. Now, listen, part of that, of course, is because the Giants' pass rush was so good. I get that. However, some rollout throws, some shots down the field, as we saw again late in the game when the Jets had to have it, and Zach Wilson, he wasn't going to have time, but the ball that didn't matter. The pass rush almost didn't matter because those were passes where the ball was going to come out immediately, like snap, quick read, 1-2, bang, out. And he did it both times, both perfect throws over the middle. Allen Lazard. What are you going to do with Allen Lazard? I hate to say it, but we need Tippmann back. We certainly do. Frank says we need Joe Tippmann back. Absolutely do. If Tippmann is back in a week or two, you're in much better position, but still, the number of injuries it's just ridiculous at this point. But Allen Lazard, 2 huge drops. The first one might have been Zach's best throw of the day. Definitely top 3. Really good ball from Zach to Lazard. Lazard drops it. Then later in the game, another good ball from Zach. Not a great throw, but good throw over the middle. Hits Lazard. He drops it on his way down. Allen Lazard, listen, and I've made this point a couple times since then. When the Jets signed Allen Lazard, I thought, okay, good player, but Jets fans have been trying to run Corey Davis out of town for a couple of years now. Remember, this is when Corey Davis was still on the team. Jets fans have been trying to run Corey Davis out of town for a couple of years over some drops, and Lazard's, history of dropping the football is worse. And we've seen it now. I looked the other day and I saw, I forget if it was PFF, whoever it was. They had Lazard's down for 3 drops. I'm sure I remember, I thought it was 5, and I'm sure I remember 4, and then 2 more today. So he's got anywhere, depending on the source, depending on what you're looking at, he's got somewhere between 5 and 7 drops on the year, and we got 10 games left. This guy's on pace to drop 12, 13 footballs. Kirk Cousins' Achilles. Wow. Like done for the year Achilles, Big Green. Not Jets news, but that is big news. Holy cow. That's my goodness. Kirk. And I know there were people who were hoping the Jets would make a move for him. Didn't see that happening, but wow, season ending. Yeah. Let's see. So Xavier Newman, look, I'm anxious to watch the tape because anytime you get a new guy in who does some good things, I'm anxious to watch the All-22. Newman got blown up a bit early. He won some, he lost some. I got to watch it to see, but when we consider the fact this is the most he's ever played in an NFL game. I believe Rich Cimini, somebody tweeted out Newman played 1 game last year and played like 16 snaps or something like that, or earlier this year, whenever. But this is the most action Newman has seen in a game. And again, did some good things, got beat up a little bit early. It's let's see. Can't believe Zach took a sack on 4th and 10. That was horrible. I said as much during the game. Look, people say I defend Zach too much, and maybe you think I do. I don't care. When he makes these bonehead mistakes, I admit it. When he's bad, I admit it. But when everything around him is a disaster, I acknowledge that. That's what you do if you're looking at things objectively and not just saying, well, this guy sucks, so every time things don't go well, I'll blame him. You can say this guy sucks, but that doesn't mean you have to ignore the fact that the blocking up front is terrible, that the receivers can't get any separation, that the receivers dropping footballs. We saw Breece Hall with a drop. We saw Lazard with a couple of drops. And I get every team has their drops, but these are plays. Some of these were in really big spots where they had to have it. Whether it was to convert a first down. The Jets didn't convert a single 3rd down all day on a design play. Not one. The only conversion on 3rd down came Zach Wilson scrambling for 17 yards on 3rd and, I forget, maybe 3rd and 10, whatever it was. And what happens on the next play? He holds onto the football and takes a 10-yard sack. He's already out of the pocket. All he's got to do is throw the ball away. He's rolling out to his right. Zach Wilson takes the sack. That was as ugly as could be. On defense, again, frustrating day. You're looking at this team. You know they can't throw the ball. You feel good about their chances to defend Tyrod Taylor. I actually took the Giants in this game to score 0 touchdowns. And if not for that one damn quarterback scramble, that would have hit. But so it goes. But the Jets, either way, they come out with the 13-10 win in overtime, in, as I said, about as ugly a football game as you'll ever see. Couldn't convert on third. I didn't finish going through the numbers, did I? Let's get back to the numbers. I broke back to talk about the passing yards. Oh, I talked about the rushing yards. Giants 203 to the Jets 58. That's inexcusable. Giants 2.8 yards per play to the Jets 4 yards per play. Disgusting. Both teams 12 first downs. Third down efficiency, the two teams combined to go 4 for 34. That is disgusting. Jets 2 for 15, Giants 2 for 19. Fourth down efficiency, Jets 0 for 1. Giants didn't try anything on fourth down. Giants ran 70 plays to the Jets 62. Both teams allowed 4 sacks. Jets punted 11 times. Giants punted 13 times. 24 punts. Jets lost a couple of fumbles, one on a center quarterback exchange when the change was made. No picks. Giants held the ball for 38 minutes and 12 seconds. Jets 31-48. Zach Wilson on the day, as I said, was far from great. Go over that real quick. Let's see. He goes 17 of 36 for 240, had a touchdown and no picks. He ran it 4 times for 25. Brees Hall, 12 carries for 17. That's atrocious. Garrett Wilson, 7 for 100. You love it. Brees Hall, 7 for 76. He had the big catch and run for the touchdown. Alan Lazard, 3 catches for 45. CJ Uzama, 1 for 19. Mosley, 12 tackles. Quincy Williams, 11 tackles. What else is new? Sacks, Jermaine Johnson had 2. Bryce Huff had 1. And Quentin Jefferson shared 1. Who had the other half? With CJ Mosley. So there's some of your stats. See, both teams, how we nicked that is unreal. Horrible game. Listen, with Ed, I have the same hat. Love it, Ed. I got a few of them myself. How we nicked that game, I don't know. Zach needs a rocket up his ass. He's terrible. Listen, Ed, Zach, this is another one of those games where I'm looking at it and thinking, we've seen this a few times now where Zach is like, it's complacent, it's dink and dunk, it's not much. And then they hit a spot where they're desperate and they need something, or it feels like they just finally give it and say, fine, let him throw it. And then he starts zipping the ball down the field and making plays. Zach Wilson, listen, this is what we want in our quarterback, right? You want a guy who in crunch time makes a big play. Now, listen, I know there was a bloviating idiot on WFAN who said this was the biggest game of Zach Wilson's life. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was an important game, but it wasn't the biggest game of his life. But it still wasn't a big game in a big spot. And he came up late in the game when the team needed him most. Absolutely phenomenal from him. Again, late in the game, 3 big throws between late in the fourth quarter and then in overtime. Really nice job in crunch time. So not what you're looking for. You hope for a better performance. But again, you have no running game to threaten the Giants. The pass rush was the Giants' pass rush was helped by the fact that the Jets had so many guys injured. Feel like Patriots 2.0, but Jets get it done. Zach played tough. He did. I mean, listen, again, he didn't play well. The numbers were ugly early on. Well, for most of the game, but there were the drops that I mentioned earlier. Lazard had a couple of drops. Brees Hall had a drop. Michael Carter, I think, maybe even had a drop. I think that was more contested. I don't think. And someone asked about another Lazard ball. I think Pinnock got a hand on that as the ball got there. That was more of a batted ball, past defense or defended more so than a drop on Lazard. That would have been 3 for Lazard. Listen, depends on how hard and I think this is why you see the difference. You look at some websites, oh, this guy's 5 drops this year. You look at another website, oh, yeah, 3 drops this year. I think everyone grades them differently. Listen, if the ball's on the way and the defender gets his hands between your hands and on the ball and swats it away, that's not a drop. The guy defended the ball and did a good job. So the Pats, I honestly, excuse me, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the Patriots pulled. I don't think the Patriots had a comeback today. They were down big last time I looked. Haven't looked at the scoreboard. Honestly, I check it out periodically during the game, but didn't look at it much today because this game it was nauseating, but it was close, nail biter, and you're just sitting there if you're a Jets fan, and I dare to make the comment that the Jets should have gotten another receiver for Zach Wilson because they have guys who can't separate and who can't catch the ball. Again, an Alan Lazard. And right away, he sucks. Stop defending him. He sucks. He's terrible. And then that final drive comes up, and all of a sudden he looks like a guy who you look at him and go, you know what? I would take that guy second in the draft. Big play, big spot, time's running down, couple seconds, pressure in your face, defender bearing down. You hang in there, you can make a big completion. And we saw him do that a few times. And listen, you look back to the videos I made during preseason when I said Zach was getting better. That was one of the reasons I cited the fact that he wasn't bailing when there was pressure there. Old Zach bails with no pressure. This time we saw Zach hang in the pocket and make throws. So these were terrible conditions weather-wise, terrible conditions in terms of your offensive line, terrible in terms of your receivers dropping big-time passes. So while Zach was bad at times, when he wasn't bad, everything else was working. I won't even say working against him. Everything else was falling apart. There was always something wrong. But when they needed it to be right, Zach Wilson stepped up, made the plays. The defense, again, frustrating to see them struggle so much against a team that didn't have a quarterback. You knew the Giants were going to run it, and yet they were still able to run it. That made it really frustrating, at least for me watching from home. You're just thinking, you've got this team in a spot where they're showing you that the only thing they're going to try to do, the only thing even the Giants believe they can do is run the ball. And even still, they were able to run the ball. And the Jets, again, having Al Woods out was a big part of that. Just taking a look now at the old scoreboard. Was just curious how that Miami, 31-17 blowout. Kind of figured that wouldn't have been a comeback there. That was too big of a deficit. And the Jets, what do we got here? Zach made plays, but it's not close to good enough. If they refuse to give Boyle a shot, then Simeon has to be. I disagree at this point, Peter. Like I think everything was bad. Everything was bad. O-line was bad. Receivers were bad. Zach was bad. But everyone did what they had to do on the final drive and in overtime. As long as they're winning football games, Zach Wilson isn't getting benched. Even if he was bad today. I mean, even if he threw a couple interceptions or whatever, I think Zach Wilson is the guy who they want to be the future leader of this team. As long as they're winning football games, and if when they lose, he is not the reason, Zach Wilson is going to be the quarterback. And I think they'll even let him be the reason a couple times before they sit him. Let's see. Rico, go Jets. Absolutely. Let's see. Too much sauce. Pause. The weather was garbage again, like the game versus the Patriots. Time to invest in a retractable roof. You know what? Too much sauce. I think that would cost like bazillions of dollars. I don't think they would do it. They should have done it when the stadium was designed. When you look at what the Jets paid for that stadium and what they got for it, it's ugly. There's no sugarcoating it. My understanding is that it was just basically, listen, man, you're in New York, you're in New Jersey, you're in the Northeast. You want anything done? It's gonna look that stadium the Cowboys built. If the Jets and Giants wanted to build that thing in Jersey, 10, 12, 15 billion dollar price tag. So they got to pay those New York, New Jersey rates, and those hourly wages are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times what they are in other places. Then that hurts what you can do. So that's why you get an enormous air conditioner in the middle of Jersey without a roof on it in inclement weather. So ugly stuff. There are days I like a little. I like football weather. Let's see some snow. Let's see some rain. But I do get when you're watching other teams and they have their roof and they're not having to deal with these problems. You kind of think, Jesus, why can't we have nice things, right? This is what we always say. But as it stands right now, bad weather and all, banged up offense. And listen, Giants fans will say we were down a quarterback, which again is credible, if not for the fact, listen, the Jets defense has done a really nice job shutting down quarterbacks who are many times better than Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor. So if you're going to tell me that, well, we didn't have Tyrod Taylor, guys, the Jets didn't have Aaron Rodgers, all right? The Jets didn't have their starting center. They didn't have their backup center. They didn't have their starting right tackle. They didn't starting right guard, right? I mean, who's left? Who's left standing? Mekhi Becton and Laken Tomlinson. Those are your two linemen you got left. You're down your quarterback. Come on. Things happen. Jets absolutely. Why can't we have decent turf? Now, there's a good question. And listen, this is a league-wide thing. Chrono Kenny asked, why can't we have decent turf? No coincidence, Jets and Giants players getting hurt when playing at home. The league is supposedly looking into this. Except we didn't even have our backup center. Exactly. Jets went straight from their first-string center to their third-string center. You would have to imagine Tippmann would be the 3 No matter how you look at it, the 3 guys on the Jets roster who can legitimately play center were not available. So really the Jets were down to their 4th center today. Um, but yeah, what the turf, the league is supposedly looking into it. I said a couple months ago that I think the league will never do anything about it because it's about money, and maintaining natural grass costs a lot more than maintaining synthetic plastic, whatever the hell it is, grass. But if the noise gets loud enough, if the players complain enough and the players union, maybe we'll see some changes. But as it stands right now, I don't see anything imminent. I know we've seen in the past teams making changes in season. Oh, we're gonna change the turf this week. And it gets ugly after that. What game was I watching? I can't even remember now. I think I had a college game on yesterday, and they were talking about how the turf wasn't taking. That the turf had been recently put down, and the players were out there early in the game. I think it was Florida, Georgia. I think it was because they played in Jacksonville. And they said that they recently put down new surface, and the turf wasn't taking. Lots of strips of turf were had flaps that hadn't taken, and the playing surface wouldn't be ideal. Um, NFL Players Union negotiated terribly on the turf issue. Yeah, look, they worried about the money issue. We want more money and less practice. That's what the players want. That's what they've gotten in recent years because of that. Who knows, folks? Listen, you got the turf. The turf's an issue. The dome's an issue. The weather's an issue. Right now, what the Jets need to focus on is they are 4-3 without Aaron Rodgers. Their quarterback, who was mostly bad for most of the day, stepped up in crunch time and made some big time throws to get them in field goal range and win them the football game in overtime. So when other teams do that, this is the funny thing. A Jets quarterback does that, and there's going to be Jets fans going, "So what? He played like crap. He got lucky." I guarantee you, those same fans, if they watched another team do that, they'd be saying, "Oh, look, they have a young stud who steps up in crunch time and delivers when it matters. Why can't we have a guy like that?" Jets might have a guy like that. Maybe Nathaniel Hackett needs to, run some tempo, run some no huddle. Robert Saleh's talked in the past about, yeah, we move the ball well, but you got to find a balance. Do what works to put points on the board and get a lead and hand it over to your defense. And then go run your Salah or your Nathaniel Hackett slow paced, low energy stuff while you have the lead and you're trying to run time off the clock. But as long as the game is close, you're trying to come back, you're trying to get a lead, run some tempo stuff. We got to trade for Cortland Sutton. Please, JD, we have no other threat at wide receiver other than Wilson. I agree there's no other threat. I think Sutton is going to cost too much. I'm not saying the Jets won't make a run at him. I would expect, one name that's been floated, has been talked about, and I really don't understand what the hell's going on. And this is an example of when people say, "Oh, well, the coaches always know. The coaches know best. Don't question the coach." Um, Hunter Renfrow in Oakland or Las Vegas is a damn good player, and the coach just won't play him. He won't play him. So if you can get him for Carl Lawson, which Scott Mason play like a Jet, and some other people have mentioned, let's see, go get him. Talk to the Cardinals about Hollywood Brown. Talk to the Broncos about, you mentioned Cortland Sutton. Make a call there. Let's see, Nathaniel Hackett. Absolutely. Listen. Nathaniel Hackett said during the week, "Oh, we did ourselves scouting. We're terrible in the red zone, terrible on third down." Today was probably your worst. This is the only game you had 2 weeks to prepare for, and it was probably your worst effort. And again, I get there were injuries. Jesus, get one. Get one third down by design. You had one on a quarterback scramble when things broke down. Not one third down conversion by design. Hackett was awful today. SNY slamming the Jets. I hardly ever listen to those guys just because time's an issue. But maybe I'll pop onto YouTube and search that and see what they're saying once I log off of here. Expect better Jets. I'll tell you, listen, Joe Douglas, again, if these guys are out for any length of time, there's got to be a trade in the cards. There has to. You can't, and trade in the cards. Tristan Colon, I said it the other day. Listen, Tristan Colon's not some superstar, but he's a guard who can be a stopgap guy who was on the team in the preseason, knows the offense. You might be able to get him away from the Cardinals for a day 3 pick. But absolutely, they've got to if they can get Tippmann healthy and get a guy like Cologne, get a mid-level average starter type, and have Tippmann play center if McGovern or yeah, if McGovern's going to be out for a while, then go ahead and do that. O-line was decimated in one game. I don't know how many times the snaps were bad. Yeah, it was ugly. Yeah, GM's Inland Empire. Absolutely. So much of it was ugly. So much of it was ugly. But like I said, I was sitting here waiting to go live, and I thought, I'm going to wait just in case they pull it out by some miracle and somebody makes a play. I counted 3 or 4 drops today, Empire. I'm not sure what the exact count's going to be. I counted 2 by Lazard, 1 by Hall, 1 by Michael Carter. Michael Carter was a tough one, though. But it was a catchable ball, and it wasn't. I think would have been a 1 yard gain, if that. But there were some big time drops today, but they found a way to pull it out. Zach Wilson stepped up. That's all you could have asked for. But you got to get this O line ready to go. The bye week's all about getting healthy. Exactly, Chrono Kenny Douglas. Joe Douglas has to be on the phones right now, getting somebody in here. Will he? Because this is the thing. Teams know you're desperate. You call. You want to know about a backup lineman who's probably worth a 6. And they say, you know what? We want a 4 because we know you got to have somebody. Don't get me started on Izzy Banacana. I've been saying that for weeks. Let's see, suggesting. Well, that's what they're doing, Peter. I mean, and I understand you don't like it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it's clearly. I mean, if that wasn't the plan, they would have brought in a Gardner Minshew or somebody else to be the backup, which I think they should have done. I think this team would be coasting right now with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. But as far as Zach not being, let's see. Okay, Peter, Zach is not exactly the same. Come on. Let's be honest here, Peter. I'm about to log off, but now you're going to say something that is going to make me stay on for a few minutes. Zach's not turning the ball over. He's got 5 picks this year, 3 of them in garbage time against the Cowboys. One of them went through Garrett Wilson's hands and was caught by the defensive back between his knees. He's got 1 bad interception this year, came against the Buffalo Bills' Matt Milano. His completion percentage is from the mid-low 50s to the high 50s, low 60s. He's not turning it over. He's not bailing when there's no pressure. He's throwing the ball in the face of pressure. He's the thing. We've talked about this on our shows a few times. Zach Wilson can be much better than he was before, which he is. And Zach Wilson can still have a lot of room for improvement because he's not that good, which is also true. So what you're saying is basically he was a guy that you could have legitimately made the case last year or at the end of last year that he did not belong in the NFL. So he's gone from quarterback that you may have ranked 45th in the NFL to now you can say he's 24th, 23rd. If they could get him to 15, that right 15, 16, 17 middle range, then you're set. You're coasting. Get Zach Wilson to throw 1 or 2 touchdowns a week and get the ground game going a little bit, and this team can go far. He threw one today. Again, a little swing to Brees. Brees did all the work. I get that. But again, no turnovers. And even the turnover-worthy plays, I think I saw he's had 1 or 2 balls that could have been picked that weren't. He's one of the best in the league in that category. So Zach, more poise, under pressure, higher completion percentage, protecting the ball. He's doing so much this year that he wasn't doing in previous years. So we can be mad that he's not playing as well as we would like, but let's be honest. Again, I'm not talking about the box score. I'm talking about watching him play, Peter. Watch him with pressure coming. Last year versus this year. Watch him last year with no pressure. Watch him. Let's see. It looks different. No, but they're not. He's got 5 picks this year, 3 of them in garbage time. He has legitimately 1 bad interception this year. And we've just watched them through 7 games. He's thrown 1 bad interception, 3 garbage time toss-ups against the Cowboys, and 1 ball that went through Garrett Wilson's hands. Listen, I'm not going to complain. That is dramatic improvement over past years. Yes, I tweeted that. They were brutal, Peter. I'm not going to sit here and say he was perfect because he wasn't. But I'm also not going to say he was the same because he isn't. But thanks for chiming in, Peter. Thanks for enjoying the chat. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Really appreciate it. Huge win. Unbelievable win. Take them as you can. Jets are 4-3. Couple of late games coming up down the pike. Thanks for the live chat. Absolutely love it. Again, don't normally do these, but the last couple weeks, the last couple wins have been so what the hell? Let's get on and talk to some fellow fans about this, see how they feel. I'm feeling good. You should be too. Joe Douglas, get on those phones and find this team some linemen and a receiver. Have a good one, Jets fans.